Our boys at BYU travel out to my side of the country, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close to you too, but going out to ECU, not an easy place to play at all. I want to talk about this BYU ECU game this weekend, Drake.
This is upset alert. I don't think that BYU is going to lose, but I do think this is a hard conversation I've had with myself, actually, about how I value teams like BYU in the Big 12. Once you prove to me, like they did last year, you can win double-digit games, I think you should go into the next season with a chip on your shoulder. You should go into the next season understanding we are one of the best teams in the Big 12. You can be cocky. You, as a fan of your favorite team, after a 10-win season, can expect to win the Big 12 championship. That's a normal statement. There are BYU fans who are like, oh, we lost Retzlaff, we're going to go 7-5. I don't think it's that dramatic, but at the same time, there are a lot of BYU fans, and I had this initial reaction myself, who saw a 6.5, 7-point line on this game. They're like, oh, disrespect. Typically, yes, BYU does get disrespect from both the national media and Las Vegas. In this scenario, I want everybody to take a step back and temper expectations a bit when it comes to ECU. I do not think, and like last year, I was giving you all kinds of, well, BYU will blow this team out, they'll blow this team out, they'll find a way to blow this team, and against Stanford, I thought that Stanford would have to cancel their football program after they played BYU. For this game, I'm not tempering the win, but I'm tempering the expectation of a complete blowout at ECU. Like, let's remember here, I haven't forgotten that Boise State game at Lavelle Edwards during the afternoon a couple of years ago, where just you're looking around going, how in the world did we lose to Boise State? That this is not going to be that. But remember that anything can happen in college football. That Notre Dame, who went to the college football playoff last year, lost in Northern Illinois. BYU's passing game. Now remember, they haven't had to throw the ball very much. Bear Bachmeier hasn't needed to throw the ball. He's 17th in the Big 12 in QBR because he just hasn't thrown. But their passing offense being at 88th in the country shows me if ECU does get up 7 or 10 points at home early and BYU has to throw the football, that's still something that Aaron Roderick and company are working on with the offense. I do believe the offense has looked stale in the passing game the first 2 weeks, and maybe that is by design. Maybe that is intentional. There are BYU fans who are saying, hey, why have we not opened the playbook up yet in case we get into hairy situations against ECU? That is a fair gripe from the fan base. But BYU's offense is 8th in the country running the football. Their average starting field position is their own 35-yard line, which is 11th in college football. They are not good on 3rd and 4th down, 95th in the nation on 3rd and 4th down. That part's not good, and there's where my questions come from. The passing game, 3rd and 4th down. For ECU defensively, they're number 10 in the country against the rush, like the entire country. Against their opponents, they've been very effective against the run, and they looked really good last week, which was surprising and impressive in a shutout on the road at Coastal Carolina. That does some numbers for you. Like that turns your head a little bit. For BYU defensively, they're arguably the number 1 defense in the country. ESPN has them at number 1 in the country. They are number 1 analytically against the rush, number 8 against the pass. ECU, number 17 in the nation throwing the football, TJ. That's good. Now, they're 116th running the ball, so if BYU shuts that down, their secondary can have a field day and go out there and pick off as many passes as they want to in this game. But what I'm looking at in the BYU-ECU game is for everyone to temper the expectation of BYU blowing them out. If the thought is like, oh, they're going to walk in there and get an easy victory, I don't think so. I think ECU is going to give BYU some fits, and that Aaron Roderick is going to have to truly open up the playbook. Aaron Roderick is going to have to finally look at his offense and say, hey, Bear Bachmeier, I need you to go prove that you can make these plays. I know you can. Now go prove it against an opponent on the road who beat Coastal 38-0 last week when they themselves went on the road. ECU is a good football team, TJ, and a lot of people are overlooking this game nationally. It could be one of those we get to the 3rd and 4th quarter, BYU only wins by 7 or 10, and at that 34-24 final score, we go, whew, good thing BYU got out of there alive.
I'll get right back to chatting with Drake, but first, let me remind you about the Sleeper app. Sleeper is your one-stop shop for all things fantasy and sports. Whether you're just looking to check the scores or see how your favorite team is doing, or you want to watch the opposing team's fans crash out in real time in the comments, Sleeper app will get it all done for you. You can also play the more or less game with us. We play live every Wednesday on the Power 2 here on College Football Addiction. Make some money with us. You pick more or less on 2 or more players. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. By using our code CFA, you'll get 100% match up to $100. Make sure that you are checking out Sleeper's terms and conditions, their terms of use. They do apply, of course. Appreciate Sleeper for their support. Go check them out and make sure you download the Sleeper app today. Escaped. Yeah, they also played NC State incredibly tough, right? And I'm not super high on NC State right now,
They're not
but
bad. They're not bad.
NC State is still a Power 4 opponent and in the worst Power 4 conference, but, third or fourth, whatever. They're still not a bad opponent. And so to go into Raleigh in week 1, right, when NC State has a lot of talent, Dylan Smothers, CJ Bailey, and go in there and compete, lose by a touchdown on the road in NC State. I do think ECU is a really, really good team and one that BYU just absolutely cannot take lightly. At the same time, this is not a game you should lose, right? This is a game that you have better talent. Nothing against ECU. You've got better coaching, and I'll just say that because I'm a huge Carolina Sitake fan. But you've got a better staff. You've got better talent. You are having to go on the road. You are having to travel across country. I know that's not easy. I mean, we play at Stanford this year, and I'm scared to death of it. Not because I think Stanford's good, just because I don't like 5.5 hours in a plane before you play a game. And I don't like the time zone changes. And I don't like playing a game at 10:30 your local time. So all those reasons, it's got trap written all over it. It absolutely has trap written all over it. You mentioned opening up the playbook. What specifically on the field outside of that, from a player, a matchup standpoint, where does BYU need to focus on themselves? Not even about ECU. It's not. I'm sounding like a coach. It's not about the opponent, boys. It's about us. What does BYU need to do themselves to ensure that trap it's already been laid, but that it's not closed in on them?
Two things. Defensively, Caton Hauser is the quarterback for ECU. He's the Michigan State kid who 973 yards through his first 3 games. That's pretty good. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's on the top half of quarterbacks in the country. He's a guy that could have a one-off game that you look around and you go, well, shoot. That dude he wasn't super accurate his last 2 seasons in college football, but he's a guy that could launch the ball for 350 yards. You say, oh, wow. I mean, he almost single-handedly beat us. He's 83 for 116 passing. That's a really good percentage rate too. So what BYU has to do, put Hauser in a blender early, showcase that the pass defense is truly elite. That truly is number 8 in the country. That's number 1, what they have to do on the field. And 2, I think getting LJ Martin the football that's a given. Getting Chase Roberts the football, the wide receiver for BYU, is key. He only has 88 receiving yards through his first couple of games this season, 6 receptions, a touchdown. He hasn't needed to be that guy. They haven't needed him to catch for 150 yards per game. I look at a couple schools like Arizona State with Jordan Tyson or Josh Cameron over at Baylor. They're launching the ball to 1 or 2 guys, just trying to get anything going offensively. For BYU, they've been able to spread the love, especially with the way they're blowing teams out. But I need Chase Roberts to help Bear Bachmeier become comfortable in this game. That first drive, I want to see, instead of LJ Martin running the football 7 times, I want to see Bear Bachmeier connect on simple throws to Chase Roberts, build up that confidence. And that's really what these first 3 games have been for BYU, is build up the confidence of the team. When it comes to on the field, can your defense immediately put Hauser in a blender, make sure pressure on him is key? If you turn him over, which he's prone to doing, if you turn him over, you're going to have success, obviously. And then conversely, do the opposite with your quarterback. Allow Bear Bachmeier to settle in, be comfortable. Do not allow pressure to get to him so that he can build his confidence in throwing the ball specifically to Chase Roberts, who is their best wide receiver. If Roberts catches for 100 yards this game, BYU wins by 14 or more points. I think that's where I point you on the field to say BYU could win this game in a blowout.
You mentioned a 7 to 10 point victory. Is that, you want to put a final score with that, or is that about where you see this for BYU if they kind of handle their business?
I still think BYU's defense is going to just wreak havoc on ECU. This is a 23-13 style game. And again, you're going to get to the end of it, the fourth quarter, and go, well, that was it? That game went by kind of fast. 10-point win. It's a cover for BYU, but at 23-13, maybe they're down 13-10. Maybe they're down at some point in this game, 7-0, 6-0, a couple field goals for ECU, and you're wondering, okay, when does it click? And then the second half is going to be dominant for BYU. I think they'll be better conditioned, and ultimately, when rubber does meet the road at 10:30 p.m. local time when the fourth quarter starts, and it's only 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the BYU psyche, that's going to play into this a little bit as well. I think BYU, come the end of this game, will be rested enough, efficient enough to close the door on ECU. But even ESPN gives ECU a 29% chance of victory, which is more than you would expect in a game like this. So yeah, it stays low scoring, it stays close. BYU wins it though by 10.
Yeah, I'll go 27-20. I'll say it's even a little bit closer than yours. But I just I don't want to say it's an unacceptable loss, but this is a game you just cannot be losing.
Yeah, you can't lose. You can't lose for sure.
This is ECU is a good team, and they're undervalued from a national perspective because they don't play in a Power 4 conference, but man, they play up. And they do a great job at ECU. And so a ton of respect to them. I remember when they played Florida really tough several years ago in a bowl game. I remember when they took a missed field goal or something for NC State against them a few years ago. So anyway, I think that they will play tough. I think the BYU comes out on top by I'll say by a touchdown. ECU keeps it a little bit closer. Drake, where can people follow you? Where can they find your work?
Yeah, at Locked On Big 12, at wherever you find your podcast and on YouTube, or at Drake Seatole on Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Always fun, TJ.